What's the most difficult game you have ever played? Which game was the hardest for you to overcome? For me, it's not a Souls-like game or any other where you need perfect timing for parries. It's not a fast-paced platformer without save points, or an online shooter where you need impossible reflexes just to avoid ending up at the bottom of the leaderboard. And no, it's not whatever this is either. The hardest game I have ever played doesn't require more skill than knowing how to read and occasionally click. It does require a bit of math, but as long as you can count to 6, you will be fine. You don't need fast reflexes or to be quick with the keyboard shortcuts. In fact, it's designed for you to play at your own pace, making you question all your decisions. And yes, it's basically a text-based game, but within its lines are some very heavy emotional hits. Hits I'm glad a video game gave me. The hardest game I have ever played is called Citizen Sleeper, and even though I finished it, my mind and heart are still mulling it over. Let's start with the basics. What is Citizen Sleeper? It's a role-playing game released in 2022, developed by Jump Over the Age, led by its founder, Gareth Damian Martin, a writer, artist, and designer who poured much of their personal experience into this game, and it shows. Citizen Sleeper is based primarily in two mechanics: text and dialogue where you make decisions, and dice rolls that determine your actions, where your success depends on the number used. As for the story, I want to avoid too many spoilers because the idea of this video is to encourage you to play it, but I don't think I'm good enough writer to avoid all the spoilers, so I apologize in advance. Anyway, if you stick to the premise alone, you're a sleeper, a human whose consciousness has been digitized and placed in a robot's body by a corporation with questionable intentions. But you escaped and arrived to the Eye, a space station where your story begins. At this point, you might be wondering what makes this game difficult. And here's where it gets subjective. Because its difficulty isn't necessarily in the mechanics, but in its themes. Well, actually in the impact those themes can have on you. As far as I know, the probability of someone who's lived on a space station and had their consciousness transfer into a robot watching this video is pretty close to 0, I think. But even so, this game manages to serve as a mirror, making you empathize with situations that many of us have experienced at some point of our lives. According to the creator, Citizen Sleeper is largely about precarity, about having to achieve a lot with very few resources, but also about a more human kind of precarity, feeling alone, out of place, and unworthy of empathy. In the game, you were a human who is no longer seen as one, a fugitive from a large corporation who has to carve out a place in an unfamiliar, hostile environment, even for its long-time residents. This sense of precarity hit me especially hard since it feels like an allegory for immigration, something I have experienced firsthand. A few years ago, I moved from my home country in South America to Europe, searching for a better life. And to be honest, the first few years weren't easy. On one hand, there are situations and people constantly reminding you that you are not from here, that you are still an outsider. On the other hand, distancing yourself from your loved ones and the reality of your origins makes you gradually feel detached from those roots. It's strange. Sometimes you really feel like you don't fully belong anywhere, and that's a central theme in this game, which reached me right at that time in my life. That's why they say the god of video games works in mysterious ways. But if I had only seen myself reflected in this sense of precarity, I probably wouldn't have finished the game and would have ended up in therapy. What really hooked me were the characters. Those people you encounter along your journey who, with small gestures, become a light. This game starts from that deep precarity of being a pariah, with nothing and no one. But it doesn't take long to show you that the solution isn't to disconnect from everyone, but rather the opposite. You begin to form new bonds, to understand that if you don't have a home, you can create one wherever you are. And above all, you start to feel hope. This game reminded me during a very difficult time in my life that isolating myself wouldn't help, that I could still nurture the connections I left behind in my country and create new ones where I'm now. Of course, it wasn't going to be easy, but doing nothing would have been even harder. Citizen Sleeper is a game where you can see yourself in each of its characters, in both their virtues and their ghosts. And that's why this game is the hardest I have ever played. It was hard to face it, as much as it's hard to face my flaws every day. It was tough to progress because I empathized so much with its story and its deep commitment to precarity as a central theme. But as the story unfolded, it was also hard to let it go. To let go of those characters who gave you a smile, a drink, or any small show of empathy during your character's darkest moments. It's a game that I technically finished, and I'm in a much better moment in my life now than when I first tried it. But even so, I think my heart will keep playing it for many years, reminding me of the importance of empathy, both when you receive it and when it's your turn to give it. It's a game I will always remember fondly because it came out of nowhere and was exactly what I needed, even if it hurt at times. Does this mean you absolutely have to play Citizen Sleeper? Honestly, no. It's a game where you have to do a lot of reading. Mechanically, it's pretty limited, and it might not have the variety of choices someone who enjoys this genre might expect. I don't think it's for everyone, and that's perfectly okay. But first of all, if you enjoy illustration and design, I think Guillaume Singlin's work, Black is on Instagram, is truly inspiring and unique. His character designs convey a lot of personality in just one image. If you are into music production, the OST created by Amos Roddy is simply spectacular. In fact, I have it in my personal playlist and use it throughout this video, and it really makes every moment in the game much more impactful. But I think the main reason you may want to play Citizen Sleeper is if you are going through a tough time. Because I think it's very likely you will find something in this game that makes you smile, or at least serves as support. I'm not saying this or any video game can replace professional help, but I do believe that, like all art, they can be great companions on the road to feeling better, whether by distracting us for a while or giving us a new perspective. Citizen Sleeper is the hardest game I have ever played, and I'm really looking forward to the release of its sequel. It might not have a boss that kills you in one hit, or a platforming level designed by the devil himself, but finishing this game makes you feel just as proud of yourself, because when you close it for the last time, you are a slightly better person than you were before playing it, and as a result, so is the world. What's the hardest video game you have ever played? How did you feel when you finished it? Leave it in the comments. I think it's good to talk about these things sometimes. In any case, I sincerely hope this video was worth your time, and really thank you for stopping by. You can also subscribe and give it a like if you want, and if not, it's okay. Maybe next time. Take care, don't stay up too late, drink water and all that stuff. See you in the next video. Bye.